Filming?
Yep.
Okay. Alright, so before I get into any techniques, first thing you gotta know about compounding walls is the tools of the trade. Number one, you can basically use any kind of compound you want. There's lots of different types. I like to use this, the Blue Top +3 from USG, because it's lightweight, it sands very easily, and it's very strong and easy to work with. There's also different ways of applying compound. Some people like to use a trough and a trowel. I like to use a tray and taping knives. Use your weapon of choice. Nonetheless, technique is going to be the same. Now in my case, and unfortunately I'm starting this video late. Here, let's walk over to this corner over here. So unfortunately the first and the second coats are already done. But the second coat goes on exactly the same as the first coat anyways, so by showing you that, you'll see what that looks like. And the first coat's really nothing special. You're really just getting compound on there so you have something to put your tape into. So with my technique, with my method rather, what I do is I do my first two coats at the same time, which is what you're seeing on the walls right now, right? So we just put a line of compound over our crack, then we put our mesh tape over, we squish that into the compound so it's fully embedded, and then we do our second coat. Then we do our second coat right over the top of that before it even dries, right? Immediately, right? A nice thick second coat. That way, once that's dry, and it does take longer to dry because it's thicker, then we just come back and we do a final coat, boom, it's done, right? Alright, so here's how we do the final coat, which is also how we do the second coat, right? So, first of all, let's just make sure we have a nice, cleanish surface to work with. I only sand the final coat. It's the only coat that should have to be sanded if you're doing it right. Alright, so for corners, most professionals do one side at a time. On smaller projects like these, you don't always have the ability to do that. So, what I'm going to do here is actually get some more compound there. To show you how I do both sides of the corner at the same time. So right now I'm just kind of pushing all that compound up in there, smoothing it all out, making sure there's no more air bubbles, and pushing it up into that corner as much as I can, right? The first and second coat are thick, they're imperfect, right? They got a lot of dimples and divots and blah, 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 it's whatever, right? This final coat goes over everything, smooths everything out. I'm not too worried about this edge yet because I still got this guy to do. In fact, I should probably do both of these together because they're going to run into each other. Always try to have relatively an even amount of compound across your entire knife here. And in this case, I'm going to go extra wide on this side because of how it ties into this corner. Just do these both together here. Once you have the right amount of compound there and it's relatively smoothed out, and now you just want to get it ultra smooth, right? You clean your knife off, and then you do a really steep angle up in here right? So that you're just floating across the surface of it, right? You're not taking any off, not really, I mean, obviously a little bit, but the goal isn't really that it's taking any off or that it's moving it around, right? The goal is really that you're just kind of gliding over the surface, smoothing it out. If you have a protrusion line like that, if it comes away from the surface, that's fine. It's going to sand away in your final coat, right? Don't spend forever trying to get every protrusion line out of there. What you don't want to have are indented lines. Like if I go like that somewhere, I can't sand that out, right? I can sand that out. I can't sand that out. Just try not to have obstacles in there. All right. Let's get around this side of this guy now. Alright, I got what I want the compound on there. Now in this case it's a little bit different because we're going around some obstacles here. I'm going to work into my previous work from there. Let's see, how do I want to tackle this? I guess I'll work towards that and pull away before I get it on the electrical outlet because we don't want it on the outlet. Right, whenever you work towards your work, when you pull away, it's going to create an outdent, right? A mountain. Mountains can be sanded away. That's okay, right? It's not perfect, but that is perfectly sandable. It's a little bit of extra work, right? If we keep trying to make this perfect by going around this, I mean, I can actually swing around here one more time, right? To get that out. That's a protrusion, right? These are all mountains. That's all sandable. We're gonna leave those, all right? That's good enough, right? Our edges are tapered. We can taper this edge a bit better. Boom, that's less sanding for us later, right? Leave the rest of that. It's nice and smooth. Forget the mountains. Mountains are okay. Mountains are sandable. What you don't want are indents. All right, and you saw the way I flipped that over in my bucket there. I do that every time once I get to a certain point in my bucket, right? Because what I want is an even amount of compound all the way across my knife. And let's see, going into that corner again. So I want to have compound in the corner of my knife. Right, so right up in that corner, just squish that compound till I don't want to squish no more. Now I'm going to work back into my work this time. All right, get that compound back on my blade. Now from the opposite side, squish it in, right back into that work. And now at a set angle, right? So I'm not squishing in, I'm not pulling out, right? Just at a set angle of about, I don't know, 36 degrees or so. I'm going to drag that down back into my work and then airplane away, lift off the surface when I reach my work, right? That set angle, when you just hold it at that set angle, right? That's what gives you that depth that you want while you still have compound on your blade, right? If I don't have any compound on my blade and I go at that same set angle, well, now I'm taking compound off, right? But if I take that same now clean blade and I go at a really steep angle, right? I could push as hard as I want, but I'm really just going to smooth out the surface, right? And I really don't want to push too hard, but I do want to apply some pressure while I'm smoothing out the surface because I'm trying to get it squished into that corner as good as I can, right? Smooth that off, all right? Alright, so again here, we'll get this side of this. This is a large hump here, right? Because this one, this guy has, you didn't get to see this obviously, but this seam here is two flat, the thick parts of drywall butting up against each other. Whereas, for example, this seam here, you can see it's a lot flatter, right? It doesn't have as much of a hump to it because this is oh, actually no, this was the first seam, so it does have a hump, but that one doesn't have a hump. but that one had the two indented edges coming up against each other, right? So it's a lot smoother. This one didn't, that's why it's a bit humpy, and that's why I'm going extra wide on this guy, right? So this is the center of my seam here, so I'm putting my mud right up to the edge of that center, so that way it's gonna taper right over into this guy and create the same amount of thickness all the way across, so I don't have a wave in my wall here, right? Right, now, get that compound back on the blade, airplane away. Now with that compound still on your blade, right, set angle, come in at that set angle, about 36 degrees, and then airplane away, right, that's what gets your depth. Right, now I'll taper this edge. Before I meet that edge, I'll pull away, and now smooth it out. Smooth it out. Oh, I took too much off. I have to put more on. See that line there? That's not a mountain. What happened is I created a line coming down here, right, where I was pushing in too deep, and so that's a plateau where it's thick here and then it's thin here. So I have to fix that. Put some more compound on, right, and then set angle, take it back off. There we go. That looks more like the same thickness all the way across now. So I'm going to smooth that out. Smooth that out. I'm going to come down a little further. Smooth that out. There's a little bit of a, see what's happening there with those things there. That means my depth is a little off there, so I'm trying to fill that in. Alright. Alright. Now you saw how I started wide, and as I came down I tapered that angle in. When you do that, when you taper it like that, you're filling in, you're releasing compound as you do that motion, right? Whereas if I just stay at an angle, right, I'm just keeping the same amount of compound there. I'm just trying to create an even surface. And then this final stroke again is just smoothing things out when you're at a steep angle. Wide. Take that compound back off. Start smoothing it out. Tapering it back into that edge. Taper that edge. Final strokes. Right? Oh, see we got some bubbles up in here. They're very small, but they're kind of deep. Could be indented. That means my compound is still too deep there. So I'm gonna take a little bit off with a slight angle, maybe a 15 degree as opposed to a 5 degree angle, right? And then always airplaning away. And you see, every time I'm airplaning away, I'm still creating all these mountains down here, right? But they're all gonna sand out real easily. I'm not worried about them. I have an indent right here though, right? And that's not kosher, so we need to get rid of that. So smooth angle, 5 degree, lift away, we got rid of it. Boom, done, all right? So again, we're going to attack this corner from this direction now, so let's sit here. Oh, seems about right. Alright, not enough compound. That wall was tapered in a strange way, is what's going on here. So I'm filling it in with a lot of extra compound now.
And you always want to start from the top, even for something like that where you needed so much in the corner?
Well, you always want to work back into your work, right? So first I'm just filling this in,
Yeah.
Now,
Instead of just adding it.
right,
to
but now that that's filled in, right, what I'm going to do here is...
It's a strange corner anyway.
It is. Right, so it's a good example to show. Oops. There we go. So now I'm going to come down just below the window. Back into my work. Alright. So now that whole area has plenty of compound. So now I can come back here for my finish strokes. Tie it all in together. Yeah.
Very nice.
The last person wasn't clean about that, but I will be. Alright, almost done with this section here. And that's why we try to be clean about things. See how much compound this is using just for this one section. Right, the goal is evenness, right? Across the entire section when you have a wide section like this.
The compound takes forever to dry, so in a way there's no rush. I think that's one of my things. I get impatient.
Well, that's one of the reasons. That's another reason I like this kind of mud rather than those quick dry muds.
Yeah.
Quick dry muds are great.
Oh, for this kind of yeah.
Right, when you have like a small patch to do and you want to get 2 coats done quickly, quick dry is great. When you have a whole room to do, you don't necessarily want everything drying too quickly on you. All right. So now that we've gotten those 2 done.
Do you have to clean that off, or you not worry about that?
What, this?
Yeah, are you going to do the right side too, or no?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
All right, so now I'm going to show you how to hit the other side of the corner, right, while this side of the corner is still wet. First of all, what you're not going to do is the same thing you did for this corner, going up and down like this, right? Because if you do that, you're going to scratch the heck out of this wet compound, right?
The first taper will remain anonymous to protect the guilty.
We won't say his name. Alright, so what you are going to do... Alright. No. The other one. Alright, so you're going to go sideways now and squish that into that corner without damaging the other corner, right? You're going to come away like this. Alright, and then where is the jerk? There's the jerk. Okay. I'm not going to worry about that line right now. I'm going to get more compound off my blade. See how carefully and slowly I'm working it into that corner? So I don't want to damage that corner.
That jerk's name is probably Matt.
Alright. And see, now I'm squishing it. That's probably the last stroke I'm going to get out of this one. There we go. Now we're not looking for absolute perfection here, right? It's got to be tight, it's got to be smooth, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Right? Because there's more things we can do. Right? As long as that corner, and the corner can have some imperfections in it, as long as it's within the range that caulk can fill. Right, because you can always go back over these corners with caulk later. Boom, see? Squish it out. Alright. Remain at the same angle. Put it back on the knife. Squish it out. Remain at the same angle. Put it back on the knife. Squish it out. Remain at the same angle. Get it back on the knife. That's actually, I did much better that time than I did last time. So I'm going to clean my knife and do finish strokes. You see how slowly and carefully I'm working it into that corner, right? Speed is not always the name of the game, right? When things are done right the first time, they don't have to be done again. And I'm gonna let that remain. Minor imperfection, but it's a mountain. It's sandable. I'm not gonna worry about it. That should be enough for my last strokes here. What do I need? Let's see. This side. Okay, so I finally went and did it. I damaged this side, I touched it. Alright, so now I gotta fix that. So I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna slowly come into the corner from this side. Come on, you. There we go. Now I'm fucking it up some more. Great.
Yeah, it's very deep compound there.
Some, it reactivated some of the old compound. There we go. Still reactivating it, so we're done. Alright, so, since it wants to keep reactivating it and not letting me do my finish stroke, I'm just gonna do some thickness there, and then we're gonna leave it. Alright. And finish strokes. Let's get rid of these bubbles. And I'm not going to worry about that in the corner because it's caulkable. And I'm not going to touch that as much as I want to. It's thicker and those bubbles will sand down to the level I want it to be at because they're on top of the level I want it to be at. So we'll leave that. Alright, and since we went this way with all these, right, that's already tapered edge, so we don't have to go and taper that edge, right? So with this guy, right, This was done with a 12-inch blade. It's already pretty, you know, flat, smooth. It's practically already finished, right? The tape's not coming out, right? So basically, I'm gonna just show you really quick with whatever small amount of compound I have left on my blade, that you're basically gonna do here. You're just doing like a final skim coat over the top of it, right? Getting the compound on, taking it off the edges, get it off your knife, final stroke. Now your next one, you go here, and then you go back into it, right? Final stroke, right? And then same thing, taper the edges, final stroke back into it, right? You'll start creating mountains, right? And then you get up to here. For this side, it's the same thing as a corner, right? So you're just gonna start here and come across, right? And then you're gonna work back in. Always work back into the work, right? And then taper your edge. And then you could even final stroke smooth this way if you want to. Right? It doesn't matter. Did you catch all that on film though? Because you were looking like right here while I was here.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, all right, good. All right, so I mean, that should be good enough. If I can do it, anybody can do it. At least that's what I like to think. Because I'm not that smart.